Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Yepes, and today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the importance of having a certified school librarian on each and every campus. Some people might understand the importance of having a physical library space and certainly having the physical and digital resources that come along with a library space, but perhaps not the importance of having a certified school librarian. So it is important that we take a minute to look at the data behind the reasoning for a school librarian. And if we look back, there's about 2 decades worth of school library impact studies, including this one that was conducted back in 2001 in the state of Texas. And while being economically disadvantaged has the most impact on student success, there is also data that shows that library variables do contribute uh, in a uh, in a positive way to students' performance on standardized tests. In this case, it was the TOS test, and since then we know that it's changed to TAKS and now the STAR test. Also in the school library journal, just in 2013, so this was only 4 years ago, um, a study was conducted in Pennsylvania, and there was a correlation that schools that had a full-time school librarian had higher test scores on the state standardized test. And interestingly enough, that the writing scores were most impacted by having a school librarian on campus full-time. And then in a review of a variety of school library impact studies that was put together in 2013, they concluded that students who have access to books has a positive effect on reading achievement, but it also reverses the negative impact of poverty. Now, why is that important? Well, a school librarian is at the helm of the school library. She is the one who is directing the programming of the library, choosing the digital and print versions of texts. And so it's important that we have the right person in that job. So when we think about how libraries support students, I think it's important to take a look at what the state of Texas is proposing as far as the library standards. These library standards were proposed, they're being examined right now, and there are 6 areas where school librarians have different strands that they would be responsible for teaching. Now, let me also quantify and just say that every single one of these standards is designed to be a measurable standard where we can use the data to evaluate the effectiveness of the program. So, school librarians are looking at information literacy. They're also teaching inquiry. This is an important part of research and developing questions. They are promoting reading and reading for personal enjoyment, but also for growth as well. And then digital learning. It's important for the school librarian to really spearhead the efforts of teaching students the best way to use the digital resources that they have access to. And not just using them, but also evaluating them to make sure that they are valid resources. Um, the school library should be a safe and nurturing environment, and the school librarian is essential in creating that space, both for the students and the families that use the library. It's also important that the library is a flexible space where students are engaged in active learning. And then, of course, leadership. So the school librarian's job is not just to work with students. The school librarian's job is also to be working with teachers in a partnership in order to support their learning and keep them up to date as well. So let's look at who we serve. If I look at the school population for post-elementary, which is my campus, then we are looking at almost 1,200 students. And these students range in age from 3-year-olds that are in the PPCD program all the way up to fifth graders. And along with that come about 85 staff members that are working directly with those students in the form of teachers that are in the classroom, large group teachers, paraprofessionals, special education teachers, and then those teachers that deliver the instruction for students that are most at risk as well in our pull-out programs. 60% of our campus is labeled as economically disadvantaged, though in conversations with my principal and assistant principal, we do believe that that number actually underrepresents our economically disadvantaged population. 20% of our students are labeled ESL or bilingual learners, and 7% are special education. I will tell you that our population, even though our population is 52% Hispanic, 20% African American, 17% white, and 7% Asian, we have a multitude of languages spoken on campus. In fact, in my homeroom class alone last year, I had 11 different languages that were spoken in the homes. So there is a wide variety, and many of our students that come to us only speak their home language, and more often these days we are seeing that that language is not Spanish, so they cannot be served by a bilingual classroom. How do we serve those students directly? So there's a couple of ways that the librarian serves the students directly. And one of those ways is through the library program. And when we look at the offerings of the library program, it is varied for the age groups and for our population. So we have some big events like the character parade that we do and character pumpkins that take place in the fall. We do have book fair a couple of times a year. We also have reading incentives, and these take place twice a year for the younger ones. So for kindergarten through second grade, we have reading incentives that happen in the fall and then the spring. Then we also have the Accelerated Reader Program for third grade through fifth grade, which lasts an entire year. We recently started and named that book team on campus, and that is for third through fifth grade. And then we also encourage students to enjoy reading and really develop a love for reading through the leaping lizards for the younger students and the horned toadtails for the older students and author visits for all grade levels. These are just more ways that the librarian keeps students engaged and excited about reading. Another way that the librarian works directly with students is by utilizing her time during the student's school day. So a little over half of her time is spent in a flexible manner. This means that she's not directly scheduled to work with students in a book talk, and that she is more able to work with students one-on-one as they come into the library, or she is able to work with classes as they come in and she's speaking with students or groups of students about topics for research. Her fixed time is really spent engaged in book talks and lessons about research. But there are also ways that the librarian indirectly serves students. And so one of those ways is through teacher collaboration. And that really looks like being able to collect print resources for teachers to support their instruction. Also make sure that we have adequate access to digital resources and discussing research ideas with teachers. And one of the ways our library makes sure that teachers and students have access to many of those digital resources and can find the print resources in a timely fashion is by setting up a library Symbaloo page. So on this page, she has collected places where students can go to work on research that are safe spots. She has collected nonfiction resources and fiction resources for ebooks. She has also linked to some of the databases that we use and some of the websites that we have found to be great sites that further the students' education. There is also the staff development access that she has. And so our librarian is able to deliver staff development to our teachers. And that might look like teaching about emerging technology. So new applications that come up that would be suitable for the grade levels at our campus. That is something that our librarian would be able to teach our teachers about. Also working on information literacy. So how can teachers become more literate in the digital world and really use things such as social media to make connections with authors or experts that would be able to assist students with some of their research questions? And then also utilizing the library collection. If teachers don't know what's in the library, then it is difficult for them to get the most out of the things that we have already purchased for them. So, each one of these is an important aspect of staff development. Without a certified school librarian on our campus, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to continue to serve the student population and the teachers who teach those students in the way that we do now. And it is critical that we continue to support our library by hiring a certified school librarian, and then also support that school librarian by giving her the assistance she needs with a paraprofessional to help with some of her duties. Thank you very much.